Hey guys, this is Storm Productions, aka Nana 4673, and I am back in, oh shit, sorry, give me a sec. I am back in, Heartbaked, and, yeah, nothing much else to say. This is part 8, I think? Yeah, it's part 8, and, yeah. Give me a sec, actually there's some sound problems I'll have to figure out real quick. Alright, I'm sorry, yeah, it's part 8, 8's my lucky number. I'm not saying that much more because I'm still a little bummed about what happened in the last episode, and I really want things to be okay. Let's just go. I didn't sleep so well. I sat up in my bed, rubbing my hands over my eyes and staring down at the sheets. All I could think about was apologizing. I should have tried to find him yesterday. I mean, we always argued and snapped at each other, but that fight was different. The way he looked at me, no use dwelling on it, Vanessa. Nothing will happen again if you just sit there moping. With that little pep talk, I threw the covers off, moving to get dressed. I wanted to find Carver before he opened for the day. I couldn't let him go another second thinking that I paused in my frantic efforts to get out of my sleep clothes, staring at myself in the mirror. Why was I so worried about this? Like I said, Carver and I always fought, different or not. I'd never bothered apologizing before. The recipe book on my dresser caught my eye, and I shifted uneasily. Right, I can't make that cake if Carver hates me. Nodding a bit, unsurely to myself, I finished dressing and hurried downstairs. I just had to stop thinking and go. I bolted through the kitchen, feeling like the faster I went, the harder it would be for my thoughts to catch up with me. Oof! I slammed into Radley, not having noticed him standing in the way. I stumbled back, but he caught my arm, wrapping an arm around my waist to steady me. Sure, Ben, you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, There was just no end right into that sentence. He let me go and I prepared to start running again before realizing what his presence meant. He was here already. How late had I slept? Where were you going? He looked around, obviously confused. You haven't started baking yet? I bit my lip, pressing my fist at my head, letting out a sigh. There was just no time. I could bake later. Right now I had to talk to Carver. I'm not opening the shop today. What? Why? I knew it must have been weird for him. I never closed the shop, and in the past week I've been closing early nearly every day. But how was I supposed to explain it to Radley? I told him about Carver before, but now it seemed so much more... I didn't know. But I did know that I couldn't tell him why I was so eager to get out. I'm sorry, Radley, I don't have time to talk. Vanessa! I ran out through the shop, bursting into the town square and making a beeline for Carver's. He's gonna be so mad. I don't want to experience this. I am so terrified. Oh god. I didn't even make it through the door though before the large closed sign hit me in the face. It might as well have been literally. My pace slowed to a crawl as I swallowed, rubbing at my arms. Okay, closed today. I'm sure that was because of some completely arbitrary reason that has nothing to do with me. I mean, how arrogant would I be to jump to the conclusion that he's out there somewhere too upset to work because of me? Well, if he's not here, he's definitely at his house. Nodding, I clenched my hands into fists, heading off towards the forest. Maybe I'd get lucky and find him in that clearing like before. I swiveled in the direction of the forest, inhaling deeply and starting to walk. Oh, Vanessa. At the sound of my name, I turned, frowning. Sorry, I blinked when I recognized the person who spoke, that pointy-nosed elf. I really should learn his name. But not now, no time. I'm sorry, sir, I have no time to talk right now. The elf tilted his head. Oh, that's just fine. Just want to say my daughter really enjoyed those cupcakes. I wish I was in a better frame of mind so I can actually enjoy that. I mumbled that to myself and the elf blinked. I didn't say anything. Right, anyway, I'm happy I ended up taking Carver's recommendation. Sorry I didn't bother trying something from the shop before I didn't hear the rest of his sentence, the sound of my internal shock blocking out everything else. Carver's recommendation, as in, he recommended... I never would have done that for him. Not in a million years. Maybe I've been taking our rivalry too seriously. A strange feeling crept over me, one I couldn't even name, and I shook my head, turning and bolting towards the forest. Vanessa. I was panting by the time I reached Carver's house, and it took a second to calm myself down, pressing her hand against my stomach. Okay, it'll be fine. Apologize to Carver, and Carver won't hate you anymore. And then, stop thinking, start knocking. Repeating this mantra in my head, I knocked firmly on his door twice, and again, and again. A few moments later, I realized I was banging so hard on the surface with enough force that the sound rang through the trees, and there was no response. I groaned, taking a step back and running my hands through my bangs, tugging at them. Okay, assuming he's not just there, ignoring me. What if he was? Carver? Are you there? Look, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it. This was pointless. I stood in front of the door for another minute before I forced myself to turn away, swallowing thickly. What if he never talks to me again? What if I never get a chance to say? I didn't know how that sentence ended. My eyes started burning and I blinked hard, walking deeper into the woods. The sun filtered through the cotton candy trees, lighting out a path that I followed without realizing. All I knew was that I didn't want to go back to town just yet. I couldn't go back and open up the shop like everything was okay. Logically, I knew that if I couldn't find Carver today, there was always tomorrow or the next day, but the sense of urgency wouldn't leave me alone. I hated imagining what Carver must be thinking, what he must assume I was thinking. Before I realized, the forest path was ending, and I found myself in some kind of farm. Well, farm was probably a misleading word. There was a shack, a pen, with 2 sheep. Oh, great. Oh, this is where Benjamin lives, probably. Carver's with Benjamin. Benjamin. I barely looked at him twice, but Carver had been nice enough to give him a job. Maybe nice wasn't the word for it, but I groaned, shaking my head, turning hightail out of there, but a flash of Magneto caught my eye and I blinked, squinting. Laying next to one of the sheep, his head propped out on his furry body, was Carver. Felt relief about me. I really thought he was just there, holed up in his house, ignoring me. But now with him right here, I had no idea what to say. All the words I prepared slipped out of my mind, lost completely. Tentatively, I walked closer, holding my breath. I was pushing open the pen before the other pastry chef noticed my presence. He glared at me, sitting up, tucking his hair behind his ears. What do you want? What do I want? If only I could answer that question. We're not gonna act like everything's normal. That's stupid. So, sheep, huh? Walked closer, linking my hand behind my back. So, sheep, huh? Carver glared at me and I winced. Pastry god, why couldn't I not be awkward when it really counted? I cleared my throat, inching closer. It's like I'd forgotten how to speak. I felt frustrated, my cheeks heating as he stared at me. If you're trying to apologize, you're horrible at it. I winced, letting out a sigh. She stood awkwardly in place for a second before moving next to him and sitting down. Look, I'm sorry. I don't know if he'd believe me or not. I don't even think I've ever apologized to him before. He stared at me for a second, then faced forwards, resting his elbows on his knees. I don't know why I always say stuff like that to you. It just sort of comes out. He let out a scoff. Well, I suppose some of your level of immaturity can't be expected to keep track of everything they say. Now remember. Despite myself, I can feel my own lips twitching up at the sight of his smile. A flicker of hope lit up in my chest. I wanted to say something else, but nothing came to mind. Instead, I shifted awkwardly, biting my lip. I looked at the sheep, seeing it still laying down, docile. Wondered if the sheep were just overly trusting, or if Carver came enough here so that they were used to him. I'm sorry, too. I didn't mean to get so worked up. My eyebrows shot up. I was surprised to hear his apology. I'd hoped he hadn't meant it, but I couldn't help but feel relieved. Then immediately after guilty. I was the one trying to get closer to him because of a recipe, after all. With this thought, my shoulders fell a bit. It was strange, though. I was actually sort of enjoying being around Carver. I never thought that would happen. I was distracted from this realization, though, by Carver's next words. It's just upset me more than usually would. Because I was actually starting to. He trailed off, and I felt my stomach flutter, waiting for him to have something else I should apologize for. What? Couldn't help but be disappointed. I sort of wanted to know what he was going to... I stole your shoes. What? I'm the one that stole your shoes. It took me a second to... I knew it! I knew it! I don't know why. Is it because he wanted to be taller? Oh my god. I felt like it had happened such a long time ago, and then it took me another second to realize just what was strange about that statement. But an old woman stole my shoes. Suddenly realization hit me. A very short, mannish sounding old... There's just no way. But from the sheepish look on his face, I knew that the ridiculous notion was apparently true. Carver! I said sorry! Why were you dressed like an old lady? He shifted, idly picking up at the grass. People are more willing to give discounts to the elderly. I laughed hard, tossing my head back far enough that my hat fell off. Carver glared at me, punching my arm. Shut up, just because I'm conscious about how the cost that it takes to run a bakery. A second later, his chuckles joined mine. Oh man, so that's why the makeup, I knew it! I laughed until tears streamed from my eyes, fluffing back onto a rather disgruntled sheep. Didn't notice I was leaning against Carver until he leaned back against me. That was sudden, but whatever. I think that was the right thing to do. I don't know, but I think it was. I didn't save, did I? Did I save? Yeah, I did. I did. Let's try seeing if that'll work. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the right one. So let's go. I let out another huff as I undid my braid for the third time. I needed to look perfect. Okay, would you cooperate with me? I grabbed this section of hair and carefully weaved the strands together. I did this every day. It shouldn't be so difficult. Maybe it's because I was nervous. Kara was supposed to be here soon and didn't feel ready for a date. A real date. After apologizing yesterday, we decided to try again, and this time, I was actually excited. For a date with Carver, of all else. I never thought I would be excited to go on a date with him. I never thought I was going to go on a date with him in general. I smiled to myself as I carefully picked out an outfit and looked in the mirror, patted my cheeks, and gave my reflection a wide smile. You can do this, Vanessa. Go out there and knock his tiny socks off, sweep him off his baby feet. I left my room and trotted down the stairs to wait for him in the empty bakery. I sent Radley home early. I couldn't risk another incident like the other day. Let out a sigh as I remembered what happened. Never again. The sound of somebody knocking on the door snapped me out of my thoughts, and I perked up and skipped to the door, suddenly feeling kind of nervous. I opened it up slowly and saw who I was expecting to stand outside. Hey! Carver stared at me for a second, then let out a small cough and looked away. Hi. He looked somewhat different. Did he actually put in effort this time? Why did he look so nervous? Then again, I was feeling the same way a second ago. I stepped outside and looked at him expectantly. Did you come around for anything? I thought we could go on a walk. Hopefully not in a circle this time. No, I actually have a plan this time. He glared at me. Oh, was he pouting? He seemed more cute than his usual grumpy face. Oh, alright, I'm following you then. He led me towards the forest, and we walked beside each other, walking closer and closer to his meditation field. He was totally sleeping. He sat down next to each other and chatted about random things. At some point we started joking about when we were younger and both training under my grandmother. Do you remember that one time when she got us to make souffles? Ugh. I laughed. Carver and I had always competed with each other, though he usually won. Okay, I have a confession. What? His eyes narrowed and he glared at me. I may or may not have sabotaged that souffle. I knew it! He reached over and pushed my arm, and I could only laugh remembering how the souffle had exploded in his face. The face you made, it was too priceless! He stopped glaring at me, and an almost evil grin spread across his face. Fine then. Do you remember the ants? No! That was Radley! I have to end the episode here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!